When central banks inflate their balance sheets, they inflate asset prices, stocks, houses, corporate valuations, but wages do not rise at the same rate. Savings do not grow at the same rate. The cost of living begins to distort. Wealth inequality widens. Eventually, the more the balance sheet grows, the more the real economy becomes disconnected from the numbers used to justify its health. What looked like recovery was actually dependency. Dependency on artificially low interest rates. Dependency on constant liquidity. Dependency on manipulation. When inflation began rising again in the early 2020s, central banks faced an impossible dilemma. If they continued injecting money into the system, inflation would spiral. If they stopped, the markets built on years of easy money would collapse. They chose to stop. They raised interest rates. They tried to shrink their balance sheets. And the world felt the shock almost immediately. Borrowing costs doubled. Mortgages became unaffordable. Businesses relying on cheap debt began to fail. Governments carrying massive national debts suddenly found repayment nearly impossible. The artificial prosperity cracked open, revealing how fragile everything had been. And the worst part, central banks knew it. They had known for years, but they believed they could manage the timing. They believed they could land the plane softly. What they didn't anticipate was how much the world had changed, how global debt had ballooned, how financial markets had grown addicted, and how the margin for error had disappeared. After each economic shock to 2008, 2020 central banks attempted fixes. But every fix created new problems. Injecting liquidity solved one crisis, but created another. Suppressing interest rates helped borrowers but punished savers. Buying government bonds supported public spending, but destabilized currency strength. Every tool they used backfired in some new way. And the most dangerous consequence was this. Central banks became trapped inside their own balance sheets. They could not shrink them without causing pain. They could not grow them without risking inflation. They could not stop manipulating reality, and they could not continue without consequences.